warm the engines up, as we'll go green any moment now.
Thank you for bearing with us, guys. Here we go. And just as a side note as well, guys, welcome. As a side note, we have a bit of, we will have race comms in tonight, so we will have these guys in the race cars when they actually go to push to talk. We'll find them speaking to the race control here. Oh, we had a bit of an incident there.
Others are away, and it looks like that is Dean Sinkovich caught up in that. Stefan Lawrence has had a bit of a rough start, went from P1 to P3, and he spun as well. There looks like he's had an incident with a bit of Roy Clark, and Bradley Wool's gone straight through into P3, and Braden Martin's pulling away, which is good for Braden in the championship. With Stefan Lawrence currently in P1, triple points, anything's on offer, so that's a good start from Braden. Not so good for Stefan, looking to secure that championship tonight.
No, it was a bit of a rough start there. It was a very, very rough start. As we saw with the start of the race, with the earlier hiccups of the stream earlier. But this is a very interesting track in these cars, and I'm sure we strapped in tonight to see how well these guys go through this track. It's definitely not an easy track to be driving these cars on. So we didn't have a whole lot of race control incidents, but we had a lot of
those sorts of
incidents.
yeah. As we see Roy Clark trying to go too wide through there and just not quite being able to make that move and forcing the other car off there. So Imola it's a very tricky track in the supercars. Obviously it's all about corner exit. The quicker you can get your power down and gain traction, obviously the higher terminal speed you'll have at the other end to either make a move or send it deep under brakes. As we saw in Super 1, there was good hard racing for 70 minutes and a few different battle packs, and hopefully we'll see the same tonight and with these Super 2 guys as well.
And these guys have got a mandatory pit stop tonight. Already got a mandatory pit stop for 2 tyres actually, so which is very, very interesting. So we're very, very interesting to see what these guys do. We do have a little bit of inside knowledge on this race, so we will see some of these guys use this to their advantage, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure most people will probably take 4 along, depending on their fuel load they need to take as well. But you can see Braden and Dan there just pulling away from Bradley in third, so they're making their own little battle pack for P1 here. And we saw in Super 1 as well, if Dan can stay behind Braden, there's a lot of fuel saving opportunities, and you can save a couple of laps of fuel, which gains a couple of seconds in a pit stop, which can make all the difference towards the end as well. So,
massively.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what these guys do in Super 2. Obviously in Super 1 they're a lot more exposed. That's a gaggle of cars back there that you can see coming out of the hairpin. But the Super 1 guys, yeah, it's from about P7 all the way back to the rear of the grid. So these guys are all line of sight. You've obviously got Stefan and Dean, and also I'm trying to think who's in the cab. Peter Pavlovich as well, who got caught up in turn 1 lap 1 incidents. That was because you didn't say cold tyres, Tony. That's what it was. Yeah,
I didn't say it. No, I saw a bumper sticker the other day. I can't remember what it said, but it just really summed it up. It was like, it said something like, it rhymed. It was basically saying what we always say, but I think I'm going to try and find it again. It could be kind of a new catchphrase actually, because I saw it on the back of somebody's car and I was racing behind them in IMSA the other night. And I was like, oh man, that's such a good quote. I got to remember that, but I couldn't because I'm just trying to concentrate on racing,
Yeah. But yeah, you got those guys there that were caught up in that lap 1 incident that are obviously going to make their way through, as you can see, making a move on Stephen here. So these guys are going to be forcing the issue, trying to get those positions back, as it's almost 3 wide in front of them for P10, 11 and 12 there. It looks like Stefan's going to make a move on Dean, but is he going to also make a move?
Oh,
3 wide, turn 1. Yeah, 3 into 1 doesn't work, boys.
Timing up. I apologise, Brad. SDK does not want to be doing timing tonight, but we will try our best.
Yeah, so we're trying to work with what we got. We will try and work out what we can get, but yeah, a few different incidents. You got Kellen Hodgkins in there up into P9 so far. Stefan Lawrence is definitely forcing the issue here and making his moves aggressive, and Dean's just lit up the tyres, hit the curb, and around he goes with a harmless spin there in the back, which will put him to the back of the pack, and he might chase down his brother there for 15th, 16th, and 15th.
So you see him coming back on the track here.
Yeah, it looks like he's just got a bit too much action, throttle, too much jandle, as they say, or Scott McLaughlin says. He's got a bit of damage to the right of the car there, so he might be a little bit injured from that lap 1 crash. So he might just be trying to make it to the point where he can, earliest point where he can take tyres, take fuel, and make it home as well, and play that card and get a bit of an undercut as well on these guys up front. So we'll keep an eye on what he does. Obviously, if there's any safety cars, everyone will be straight in. As we've also got Greg Leak for Team Greg there, just
Team Greg
unfortunately
having a bit of a moment there.
It looks like Steven in front there's also had a bit of a moment and spun. Unfortunately, we can't go to action replays tonight, guys, because it will freeze our stream. SDK doesn't like it, and iRacing doesn't like it either. So we'll try and get as much action as we can. We are flying a little bit blind, but we'll do the best we can to bring a good show for you guys. But it looks like these guys looks like Braden at the front here is pulling away from Dana, but he's got about 3 seconds up his sleeve, and Bradley's actually gaining on Dan. So I wonder if Dan's just had a little bit of a moment there during that lap, which is so easy to do at Imola with the amount of curb.
Definitely is, especially in these cars, especially those sort of you want to be like, especially on the exit of this corner here, you know, you want to be straight up full on the gas, but you want to be squeezing it on very, very gradually, because it's very tempting to get far too hard on the gas or give it too much jandle too early. And a lot of the time with Imola, as we've seen with all these different classes of cars, is also, guys, is that you have to use all the track at Imola, and these cars are very, very big wide cars, and basically all that they've got holding them down is that massive ass wing on the back of it. It's literally just what most people would take their Mustang to go and pick up some milk and bread, and have taken all the seats out, put a whole lot more power into the engine and a big ass wing on the back of it. So put that into perspective, and then try and put it around Imola and try and use all the track where it's very, very risky to use it all. We could see a lot of fireworks tonight, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Imola's definitely a bit of a track where it's more of you've got to send it and hope it pulls up sort of braking zone, so it's going to be definitely interesting. You've got these top 4 that have definitely pulled away here. Luke Crumb's had a great start into P4 there as well, so it'll be interesting to see how if he can continue on this good start further into the race. It's good start from him, and he's got about 4 or 5 seconds back into the 5th place, which is where that massive train starts to form as those quicker guys are starting to make their way back through the back markers, essentially.
Yeah, as we can see that back view, that's a great rear chase cam there. We can see how much these guys, and I really love this cam as well, actually, especially as a racer as well. You can actually, because a lot of the time when you're on track, you're thinking about exactly how much you can push the car, because you can always push the car a little bit faster mid-race. But you need to kind of, short shift it a little bit. Try to save some gas in that mid race. If you can get a little bit of a gap like Luke Crumb's got right now, I would be thinking, okay, if he's, I need to keep him between 1 second and 1.2 seconds behind me, and then I've got a nice enough gap that he doesn't have my toe, but at the same time, I can still short shift and try and save some gas there if I'm leading the pack like Luke Crumb's doing right now in clean air, because he needs to worry about that as well, because if he's in clean air, and especially on this track, if he pushes it too hard or if he uses a bit too much gas, he's going to end up really putting a spanner in the works of his own race further on in the race when he does pit, because his pit time could essentially be longer.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we saw in Super 1 as well. We saw a few guys that were in those battle packs, mid-pack even, fuel saving rather than going for that sort of essentially dive bomb move or, making the pass. They decided to stay behind and follow the cars in front to gain that fuel advantage, because it just made it a bit quicker in their pit stops, which in turn made it better for their race, and they jumped a few positions. And I think Blake Delaney was probably with the best at it. You know, he was cruising around in P3 for a bit of that race, and he even said at the end he overfield by about 10 metres in the end, and he won by a couple of seconds. So you know, he could have been a lot further down the road. The right fuel calculation, so it definitely pays off, especially at a track like this where you know you're in higher revs doing your braking and high revs holding gears at certain corners. So we'll see who's you know smart enough to play that game with a little bit of knowledge we've got. So see if any of these guys in Super 2 put on for it.
Yeah, I think it's a battle game though also as well. How much can you push this car to the edge of that racing line, especially on a car that's not on a track that's definitely designed for open wheelers, as we were saying. You know, this track is definitely designed for more of cars with open wheelers, and how it's traditionally from the history that it's been and the cursed history. I'm sure as you know much about, Stefan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think everyone that has any form of motorsport, not just knowledge but enjoyment, knows the history of Imola and obviously the death of Ayrton Senna. And I think it's actually claimed 4 race car drivers' lives.
Yeah, on that same day it was Dale. Forgive me for forgetting his last name. It starts with an E. Yeah, but
it was 2 on
Dale
that day,
actually on the same day. Yeah, which was really crazy. Yeah. And then they didn't actually race at Imola for about 10 years there, and then F1 anyway, and then they came back, and it's been off and on since. But as we've seen throughout motorsport, it's one of those funny tracks that sort of seems to be cursed almost.
Yeah, it's definitely been out of calendar for Formula 1 for a while, but it's always been raced on with GT3s in the GT World Challenge, I think, or Blanche. I can't remember the exact name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the DTMs come here as well, right?
Yes, they do now as well, yeah. So it's always had the racing on it still, and obviously with the safety improvements they've had to do to bring back these faster Formula 1 cars compared to what they were in the 1980s and 90s. So there's definitely been some track improvements, which hopefully will come into iRacing as well with the curbing upgrades in the near future. But yeah, so Stefan Lawrence, after falling back to P14 on lap 1, is up to P8 and hunting down his teammate in front of him, who I'd say will let him by pretty easily when he catches them. So he's on a bit of a mission at the moment, and I think he's going to work his way back up pretty quickly, but I think it's going to be a hard ask to catch these top guys without a potential safety car, just with that gap and margin they managed to pull on the first lap.
Yeah, I think Jacob Hughes has done a really good job to wrangle this Holden around here. I know a certain number of people actually prefer the Mustang quite a bit more, but I kind of, you know, from my experience, I kind of like the Holden, but I kind of feel like the Holden's a little bit more of a handful on a tighter course. But I suppose it relies on what sort of driving style you have and how much you enjoy whichever car. And as we see the teammate let Stefan past, there we go, Stefan on the run now.
Yeah, he's just playing the smart move there, Jacob. He might even be able to, you know, get in the tow and tag along with Stefan there for a little bit to catch up to Luke Crum. Is it Luke Crum? No, sorry, I think P6.
So we got Roy Clark up in 6th. We got Mr. Matthew Mites up into 5th in that Mustang. Seems like he's getting his wheels around that thing. He's getting into the groove. Luke Crum in 4th. We've got Bradley Wall in 3rd there. He's had a great run. He's up 5 positions. So we've got Luke Crum and Bradley Walls. Great starts, up 5 positions there. And then we've got Daniel Schultz up 1 and Braden Martin up 1 has profited from Stefan Lawrence's bit of a wheel spin on the start there and a bit of got caught up in the melee there. But he's back up another 7 positions from where he dropped back down to, so he's back up in the 7th now, and he's 6 positions off where he started, so he's definitely one to watch. He's leading our championship, and he'll be one to watch to be able to push back through the pack to absolutely, you can definitely tell he's got the pace, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's already pulling away. It looks like about a second and a half there to 2 seconds on his teammate in the space of 3/4 of a lap. So he's definitely pushing. His strategy is just going to be going as fast as he can, using as much fuel as he can, and hopefully, putting in these quality laps. You can see the next 4 cars sort of within, I'd say, probably 10-15 seconds of him there. So he's not too far back from those guys, and if he can put in those good quality laps, especially as the fuel starts to burn off on this opening run, which I'd imagine they've all gone with maximum fuel they could. So if he can catch these guys, he's going to have that net gain. But it looks like there's going to be a good battle here for P3, and the leaders have caught right back up as well. So Dan has caught up to Braden for the P1 and 2, and then Bradley and Luca here having a good battle for P3 and 4. So it looks like we're going to have a pretty similar to Super 1, where you've got these little battle packs just forming between a couple of drivers throughout the race. But it made good entertainment in Super 1, being able to flip between multiple different groups essentially. And obviously with Stefan there charging his way through, he's going to be joining these packs every 5 or so laps, I'd say. So yeah, it'd be good to keep an eye on his progress and see whether he goes for an early pit stop or a late pit stop as well.
Yeah, true. Because that'll be a telling situation. We did see earlier we only got to stream earlier the first 16 minutes of this actual race, so we got to see just before everyone started to pit and all the rest of it. So it was it's going to be very interesting to see for you guys to be able to see it unfold, especially you guys that didn't actually get to be in the race, etc. So it'll be nice to see you guys see it unfold. We've got a little bit of inside knowledge, but we'll leave it to that. Oh, Luke Crum on the push here. Bradley Wall with a consistent drive so far. And we see,
yeah, it's definitely doing pretty good after getting that good jump and missing the action or the avoiding the carnage on lap 1 by the look of it, with a pretty straight crisscross Ford Mustang there. So he's doing well. He's had a couple of weeks off recovering from COVID, unfortunately. So he's doing pretty well for this first race back, and Roy's doing pretty consistent in P6 as well. But it looks like we've got Marcus in P9 and Peter Pavlovich behind him, catching him pretty quick in the Century ZP Commodore there. So some of these guys are doing pretty good. It looks like I'd say Peter's going to get past Marcus here pretty momentarily. He's definitely got the mid corner on him, but if Marcus can get these exits done, he's going to hold this position. We might give him. He's holding his position quite nicely in that Kachow Lightning McQueen livery. I think Peter's going to get
McQueen and Peter Pavlovich with a bit of damage there from the start there. It looked like they got a bit of tyre on tyre there coming into, I think it was turn 2 on lap 1. And
yeah, it just looked like a bit of neck code as well, just potentially. We've noticed it in Super 1, there's quite bad sort of neck code within a foot that sort of just dragged the cars together, and I think that might have been what happened again, is he's trailing the brake all the way down there, locking up. Topped all 3 of them go off.
Bradley Wall's just gone off there, guys. Oh no.
I think that was Callan Hodgkinson who was just ganging up on them, but just tried a bit too hard there to follow Peter's braking marker, unfortunately, and just carried that lock brake all the way, which is another thing.
Easy to do down through Ravazza. So those last 2 corners are called Ravazza, is the name of them, and that's at 17 and 18, I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, it's very, very hard because it's that downhill braking spot, isn't it? And especially in these cars, it's very, very easy to lock them up, especially if you're already in the shit a little bit. You know, if you're in the shit and you're already braking downhill, you know, especially on Imola, you might not come off all that well. But he held that well, because that is the default position, is to go on, you know, at least put it out into the kitty litter and then be able to get it back on, rather than give it a bit too much gas trying to get out of it, or counter steer it too much and then end up snapping it into a wall, or etc, and then you got a black flag, and then you got to get that thing towed out of there. So that's not what anybody ever wants. So
yeah, exactly. It's never fun, and especially in the supercars. Like the Porsche wasn't too bad. The setup I was running, we were able to brake quite nice and deep and square through there. But obviously the supercar being a heavier car and essentially having brakes that don't do as good or work as efficient. It's definitely easy to lock a brake, and it's hard to modulate as well when you're going down a hill. So you essentially just got to come off it again and get back on it and hope it doesn't lock again. But if you keep doing that sort of stuff every lap in and out and locking those fronts, you're going to wear through them pretty quick as well. So there's a good chance some of these guys might even potentially try a two-stopper if they happen to damage their tyres and take less fuel and use those quicker lap times they can get with their tyres and newer tyres and push that way and try something different, especially if there's an early safety car. Some of these back markers might go in, take some tyres where the front guys might stay out and try and stretch their fuel run even further. So safety cars always throw spanners in the work, but yeah, we see how these guys go for the next 40 odd minutes.
Yeah, it should be very, very interesting to see how these what sort of pit strategies these guys get. And I apologise, I was just trying to test out our pit lane times, etc, etc. It doesn't seem like SDK wants to give me any of it, so you shall have to use your imagination a little bit, guys. So
yeah, it's anywhere between, I think, about 53 to 59 seconds depending on fuel is what we worked out in the Super 1 there. So purely just depends on how obviously these cars are fuel restricted with a 80% fuel cap for the night. So it's just depends on who's going to play that long fuel strategy versus those that might take half a tank and go for the quicker lap times earlier on.
But also these guys that have been able to stick together, like Braden Martin. You know, Braden Martin's gone out here just firing, but Daniel Schultz sat here very smartly. Daniel Schultz has probably already saved a good two laps worth of gas probably here, mate. He's probably sitting here short shifting a little bit, much less than Braden Martin has to. He's probably he's just taking the draft, taking the tow. He's probably made up already 2 laps already by here, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because if I was Daniel Schultz right now, this is what I'd be doing too, and I'd be waiting till the last 5 laps, and then I'd just be like, yep, cool, I'm gonna do the overcut on you, and then I'm gonna try and just get my nice warmer tires to you know, my fresher tires, and I'm gonna have to push them a bit harder to get them warmer, but I'm gonna use my fresher tires to get you, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. It's very easy to save a decent amount of fuel on these just with the type of engines and how these cars drive, you know. Less throttle on the blips, or as you say, short shifting, you know, you can save 0.3, 0.4 a lap per lap, so, you know, do that for...
And it's so much easier to be smoother when you're following somebody than
yeah, you can
having the stress in your rear vision mirror, you know.
Yeah, you can just lift off, you know, 50 meters before the braking zone, brake it, you know, 20 meters past your normal braking marker, and then still hit the same sort of lap time speed with using, you know, a litre less fuel per lap sort of thing. So it does look like Dan has been quite aggressive though
lock up from
braking zones.
From Braden Martin there, but Dan looks like he's on the hunt there. He's trying to keep the pressure on there. He's staying in that draft zone, because if he stays in that tow, then he can save the tyres, he can save the gas. If he slips out of that sort of 8/10 mark, from the 8/10 mark, you know, you're pretty comfortable. If you've got somebody that's 1 or 1.2 seconds behind you, you're pretty comfortable, you know, they're out of your tow. But
it looks like he's actually been quite aggressive here and actually trying to make the pass, so maybe he thinks he's got more pace than Braden and the...
Or is he just trying to put the pressure on, trying to make Braden make a mistake here?
Possibly, that's what I'd be trying to do. I wouldn't possibly show him my nose quite as much as he did there. He sort of went for a full move, then backed out of it. I probably would have just gone a half a car width narrower and
just to know that he can see you in his mirrors, and then
yeah,
back
just
it
to
off.
show him that exactly that you're there, and if you make a mistake, he's going to get past. So
yeah. Here's my nose, buddy. Yeah, just in case you make a mistake, I'm just here just to put that nose past you. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it, but yeah, I think he's just going to play this, as you say, the fuel saving game.
Yeah.
Where he can, and just stay behind Braden here for this first opening stint, and possibly push and try and use obviously this pit time to overcut him or even undercut him and go even further in front. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it. And see what
Bradley Walls had an absolutely brilliant run here as well. Be
Yeah, he
interesting to
is.
see how much of a gap, because he doesn't have that much of a gap here. He's only got... he's got about 5 and a bit seconds behind these boys. Behind the leader. Oh, no, sorry. He's got a 1.8 second gap there to the leaders there. So he's not that far behind, to be honest. And I think he's had a really great run. He's already up 5 positions. If these guys make any sort of oh no, I think I was in the beginning. Yeah, I was right. They've got about 5.5 seconds. 5.5 seconds. Yeah, 5.6 seconds now it is. Sorry for the gap. SDK wasn't updating for me, guys. So I know I can't put up the live SDK timing for it, but I'll try and keep into the live timing through just my words.
It's still a valid point that, yeah, if they make a mistake or, you know, come into contact and cause half spins and stuff, these two here in P3 and 4 are going to be right there. And you've got Mr. Might's not far behind him with Roy Clark, and Stefan Lawrence isn't too far behind them either. You can see in the background they're gaining on these two. So, you know, these guys are all having good little battles. They're not necessarily actually battling, but they're line astern trying to follow each other and pull each other towards the cars in front. So looks like Stefan has pulled about 3 or 4 seconds on these guys in the last sort of 10 laps that we've been watching. So he's definitely still on that bit of a mission. He's catching these guys. I don't know if he's catching the leaders, but he's definitely catching P3 backwards to where he is, and obviously P7. So if he can continue this up with still, you know, 40 odd minutes to go, he's gonna definitely get onto that podium step, which should definitely secure him that championship with the semi-decent lead that he's attained so far in the first 9 rounds. So
essentially, he's sitting in position now that he can still hold him in the championship. So through quick maths, essentially all he had to do tonight was do better than 8th. So he's sitting in 7th now, guys. So it looks like if Stefan, I'm sure he can, he will be our season and championship series champion, which is pretty amazing, because all he has to get is better than 8th, and he's already in 7th. And as we've seen in the past, Stefan, that Stefan, here we go, this is what makes it hard being in the God's box. We've got lots of Stefans. We've got a Stefan, we've got heaps of Stefans, we've got heaps of Stevens. So, yeah, Stefan has done really, really well this season, and he is leading these points enough that when we worked it out, yeah, he had to do better than 8th, and I'm sure he'll do better than that. Even if he just sits there and he'll be patient, I'm sure he is patient. You know, he's always been very, very, very patient about these things, but Roy Clark with a lot of pace already, but you can see how much, like, relative pace Roy Clark to Stefan Lawrence right now. How much relative pace? Let's get up on the rear chase cam here and just see how much in relative pace he's got.
It does look like Stefan's definitely catching him, so I wouldn't be surprised if it probably takes him another 5 or so laps to get back on to the back of Roy, and then he'll make his way.
He might do it in the next lap or so. But look at this, man, he is just on the limit. Stefan's, wow.
2 nice tyres off the ground there through that chicane, but looks like we just had Bradley Woolgoff up there as well in P3, so it looks like Luke's just got him past him, which is going to stack these guys up as well. So that's going to play into the palm of Stefan even more as he we got
Roy Clark going into the pits, early pitter. We got our first pitter, Roy Clark. Let's see if SDK will give me my pit times. Come on, baby, you know you want to do it.
He's going in at about roughly the 30-minute mark, I believe.
Unfortunately, he does not want to do it. Okay.
He's going for the 30-minute mark, which is, you know, just under halfway through the race. So he's going for the slightly earlier stop, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see others potentially in that battle do it as well, even if Stefan decided to come in early and, you know, just skip those guys. He's got the pace to obviously get them on track, but he could do it in the pit stop as well and just get clean air and just set his lap times and jump them that way. which wouldn't be a silly idea as well. So then he's just always in clean air and doesn't have to worry about actually the on-track passes and can just do it from a strategy point of view.
True. Just that's actually quite a good view on this track here. We got Marcus Redcliffe there.
Yeah, so it looks like these battle packs. All that, you got Marcus there and Callan's in there as well. So you got some. They're not super close, but you've got cars fighting each other and trying to drive towards each other. The Roy's come out in 13th there.
13th there, yeah.
And he has come out in clear air, which is good news for him. So he can just set a good couple of laps here and try and just get back in that rhythm nice and quick. Not kill these tyres too quickly. Just bring them up to temperature nice and easy, and so he doesn't kill them off towards the end of the stint. Because doing 30-minute opening stint, you've still got a 40-minute future stint to finish with the 70-minute enduro we're currently in. So he's got to still look after these tyres, or else he's going to be struggling a lot towards the end.
But he's had a very good pit time. He's only done his full pit time was a 56.2. Yeah, and so his full pit time has been very, very good. Peter Pollard is 109, but I think that's come through a bit of adversity rather than choosing to pit, if you know what I mean. Jump back up to the top of the pit here. We've got Braden Martin and Daniel Schultz still on the battle here, guys. Still on the battle.
Yeah, Dan's still not giving up this hunt. He's not super close to him, but as you say, he's still putting that pressure on. So if Braden makes any mistakes, even just locks a tyre, puts Dan right back on his back bumper. Looks like Bradley Wool's either pitted or he's had a
Luke
moment
Crumb's
as
had
well.
a great little advantage. He's up 6 positions already. So let's go back down to Brad Wool here.
So he's just coming out of the pit lane in 11th. Now he wasn't too far in front of Roy. As you got Roy coming down the side, Roy's going to get him quite easily here. So the Bradley's had a slightly longer pit lane, although those fresh tyres for Roy have really worked out here.
He had a slightly longer pit stop. He's had just over a minute pit stop. Brad Wool. So he might have needed to do a little bit of damage control, or beat out a couple of panels along the way, or he might have just put in a little bit too much gas.
I think he's probably put in a bit too much fuel. He may have also started with less fuel as well, which means he's got to put more in it to obviously bring it up to the what he'll need in order to finish. But also it could have been a 2-tyre versus a 4-tyre pit stop as well. So there's plenty of strategies that can play out with only the 2 tyres being needed in the compulsory pit stop, which if that's the case, Roy will definitely need to look after these tyres a bit more, because he will be struggling towards the end. He's taken the 2 tyres to try and gain that track position.
Oh mate, yeah, I wouldn't trust myself enough to take 2 tyres, like honestly. I just feel like I just want the peace of mind, and if somebody else stuffs up, I'd rather them take 2 tyres and then I profit from them stuffing up versus maybe just trying to drive it on the edge, or feeling like you're on the edge, I suppose. And that's what it comes down to. It's very psychological when you're in the car as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially in a supercar, makes a lot more sense to take 4 tyres than 2, as we've got a few more cars in the pit lane. We've got Stefan Lawrence there as well, and I believe that was Matthew Mutz or Braden. It was one of the locked on cars there, so coming out of the pit lane. So here comes Roy. Is he going to come get past Stefan, or is Stefan going to be able to hold him? So it was Matthew Mutz coming out in front, so we'll keep an eye on this battle pack behind as well. So Stefan came out on cold tyres. He had Roy charging at him behind on the warm tyres, but it looks like he's actually going to hold that. So he's net gained 2 positions in the pit stops there. So that's a great strategy from Stefan there. With the guys in front pitting as well, he would have had clean air on those older tyres. So
you should probably see him. He did pit in position 6, so we might see him slot himself up into 4th here, just from that simple and very simple, but very skillful. It seems simple when they come in for a quicker pit stop and stuff like that, but it's not simple. It's the amount of like planning and short shifting and smooth gears through this corner and that gear to be able to try and make up those tenths throughout those laps to be able to get there.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a lot of people. I believe Callan has just had a bit of a spin there as well, coming into the out of the corner before the chicane. So pits, especially when you got the speed of Stefan. That's
Whoa, that got a bit messy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a munted Ford Mustang you've got there, Callum. So I'll say Callum will be on the pit lane this lap as well to fix that and take his compulsory pit stop. But unfortunately that does put him, might put him a lap behind by the time he takes his physical pit stop and comes back out again. But yeah, it looks like he's had a bit of a moment. So Dan Schultz is playing the long run here with Braden Martin already taking his pit stop last lap, so he might also have been able to save a bit more fuel as he's been in that draft. So if he can go a bit longer, put in less fuel, he might also get that overcut effect and come out in front of Braden.
Luke Crum with a great drive, already up 7 positions here, so hopefully he can hold on to this. And he hasn't pitted yet, so the only people we've got left to pit, guys, we have Daniel Schultz, Luke Crum, Peter Pavlovich, Marcus Redcliffe, Dean Sinkovich, and Steven Sinkovich, all yet to pit, guys.
Yeah, it's some of these guys are playing the longer. Dan's in this lap, and Luke's going even further, so he's been able to save some good fuel there. As we can see, Peter taking a lot of curb through those chicanes. So some of these guys have definitely been able to just probably naturally save a bit more fuel with their driving styles, as Braden's coming through there as well with Marcus behind him. So it looks like Braden's also stretched his lead by quite a bit over P3 and 4, which we're only about 7 seconds behind, and now they look like they could be over 10 seconds just by the physical distancing we can hear. But Braden's just gone off it. Oh, he's locked the front. Gone a bit deep there into the second to last corner, so he's definitely pushing even to get in front of Dan here, with Dan just coming down off his blocks. Now he's actually going to have quite a big gap here. I think Dan's potentially overfilled his car, because it looks like he's going to come out a long way behind, which is a little bit surprising considering he was only a second behind him on track. But he's come out potentially 10. Yeah, he's actually come out good. You know, you can't even see Braden there in front of him, so it looks like he's come out like almost 10 seconds behind Braden here. So, but
he hasn't had bad a pit time. He's actually had a really great little pit time. Actually, his full pit time is only 56 seconds. So, it might have just been a bit of a optical illusion there, maybe, essentially. But compared to everybody else, Daniel Schultz had, Stefan Lawrence had under 55 seconds. That's why it seems like in comparison, Mr. Matthew Might's had a 55 second. So yeah, I can see. There's even Jacob Hughes had a bit of a quicker pit stop. So he's it's not crazy slow, but it's not crazy fast either.
Yeah, I think it's just those opening laps there on this stint from Braden might have just been super quick, and he's just been able to pull that gap just via being on new tyres versus versus Dan being on those older tyres, not being able to set quite the lap times. But Luke has come out here, I believe, in front of Bradley Wall. Just not sure if that's Bradley or if that's Callan behind him there.
Been able to keep it up, and he hasn't pitted yet, so he's just stayed out in front. And he's using this spot to give himself a bit of a gap. But so on the standings at the moment, we've actually got Luke Crum and then Peter Pavlovich is actually in second, but as it seems a bit different on track because we've got Bradley Wall there behind. By the look of that, that's Bradley Wall. By the look of his race number there, behind Luke Crum there, and Bradley Wall's actually in front of Luke Crum, but there for the whole last half of the first half of this race. So it'll be interesting to see whether Brad Wall can put enough pressure on Luke Crum and Luke Crum make a mistake, or whether the vice versa happens, or they both just charge on and help each other to get to the finish. Oh, Bradley Wall straight across the end, straight across the middle of that. Oh no, sorry, that was Callan Hodgkinson. I'm getting mixed up with the crisscross racing boys.
Yeah, it looks like Callan's just having a bit of a struggle here tonight. He's really struggling with his brakes into bits of one, and he's just not been able to really dial it in through the race by the look of it, as he is currently a lap down behind Luke. Obviously Luke has to pit yet, so he'll get that lead lap back eventually, which if he gets a safety car is obviously great news, because then he can get back onto the back of the pack and try to make his way through, which we normally do see from Kellen. He's normally pretty consistent during these races.
It's one of those tracks though, also with Imola, because it is quite wide and there's quite a bit of space on there. You know, if you're fast enough around here, you can find quite a few quite nice little passing spots. So if you have your head about around here, then I think it's less likely we see safety cars. That's probably why we've seen so many more accidents around Imola. Is because of that. If you know what I mean? It's because you're less likely to see a safety car around here, because even if something does happen, it's fortunately quite an easy track to clear. Essentially because it was built in the early 1900s, when cars needed lots of runoff.
Yeah, exactly. The track's definitely changing through the years. Obviously more runoff is coming in with the safety regulations and that side of it as well, in real life racing. But the supercars around Imola is definitely a combination that works well. They're nice to drive around here for, well, as nice as a supercar can be, but it's just not a track you would sort of picture these cars going to where they would work. Or Luke's just had a bit of an off there as well.
Bit of a moment
coming
there.
back on with the rivets, as he might take this opportunity.
Oh, he's taking a bit of AstroTurf on the exit there. Oh yeah, he has taken this as the opportunity here. Kellen,
hopefully that hasn't cost him too much. He can actually still come out in front of Stefan and Bradley, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on to see where he comes out after his pit stop here.
He's had a solid race so far. He's up 8 positions. He's had an absolutely solid race. Well done. Old Chops himself. Braden Martin. He's done very, very solidly so far. He's done very, very solidly throughout this championship as well. So big shout out to Braden Martin. Very, very well done in that Commodore, and it's nice to see somebody in a Holden, because you don't see a hell of a lot on the grid at the moment. But we shall see in the next following kind of couple of years. It'll be interesting to see how iRacing tackles Gen 3 with supercars, you know, and the new technology that's come out, and the new sort of makers and series that'll come into those series as well, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully iRacing does bring in Gen 3s when they come out in another, was it year and a bit, I think?
Yeah, it's 2023.
Yeah, it's the end of this year when they finally get all their testing and everything done. Hopefully they do get a partnership with iRacing, the same as what they did with the ZB and the Mustang here, but obviously we have to wait and see for that later in the year, but hopefully they do.
Stupid not to, wouldn't they? Stupid not to.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully iRacing keeps that deal going, because it's obviously great to have the supercars, and obviously they've just added in Winton Motor Raceway, and there are rumours that Sandowns coming in the next build, but obviously if they can get some more New Zealand tracks in there, I wouldn't say no as well.
Oh yeah, we need Hampton, we need Bay Park, we need Terratonga, come on, cuzzies, come on. That's what we really need.
There's a few goodies that would definitely suit well in iRacing. They're in other platforms, they're in Project Cars, so hopefully they can maybe come into iRacing in the near future as well.
Yeah, and the modders on AC have modded all of those tracks already, so they're quite fun to drive, but I can't say they're the most polished, if you know what I mean, Stefan? If you know what I mean? So,
yeah, absolutely.
I would love to have them on the iRacing platform, because there is no better platform, you know, like as an actual sim. So it'd be great to have it in real life situation and real life track temperatures and you know, and reactions in a car versus just, you know, this is a piece of road that we've put corners on that looks like it. that you're in a car that's kind of like it. You know,
exactly.
So,
yeah, iRacing is definitely probably the most polished one out there. You've obviously got R-Factor 2 as well, which is pretty good for physics, not quite good for... Yeah, it's not quite as good for...
Race Stream's good too.
there's many out there that are getting better. Most of them still have a lot of catching up to do to iRacing as well, and obviously this offers a lot more with the endurance races as well that they host to try and match WEC and that side of it. So it's definitely a great simulator, and hopefully they can add some more content for us Australasians in the near future to give us a bit more of what we occur and see on a weekly or daily basis, depending on your job.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's great to and that's the beauty of it, and that's why I think one of the... Oh, we got Greg Leake there with a bit of a moment there. Leaky had a bit of a moment. I know that he had a bit of a rough race this one. Dean Tikovic down 5 positions. He had a bit of a rough one. He had a bit of early damage as well, guys. So these guys have had a bit of horrible luck throughout the race and all the rest. And we've just got Shibby with the big wave as well. So much love to Shibby, our illustrious head producer. I'll give you head anytime, buddy. That's right.
It also looks like Stefan Lawrence is already into P3 and caught up to Dan Schultz as well.
Come on, mate. Come on.
He could be on for P2 here any click of the clock. So he's catching him. It looks like a good second lap. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I love the blimp view just to see how much of a pace difference he has to these back markers. That is insane. So these guys are coming around to these slower... I wouldn't call them back markers, but we're still in the midst of everyone sorting back out where they came out from the pits. But as we said earlier with Stefan Lawrence, he actually went into the pits at 6th, came out in 4th, and Stefan made the prediction that he would come out in about 4th, and he went in back in about in 6th, and through his pit strategy really stepped himself up to a bigger position now, and our series leader is up into 3rd now. So he did drop it out in 15th. So essentially, he's down 2 positions from where he qualified in 1st, but he's now back up 13 positions from where he dropped down to. So I think that's pretty impressive. I think I got the numbers right.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's definitely been the class of the field all season, and this is why he's current champion elite. So, he's just showing why he's the class act Super 2, and obviously with the win that he's on for at the moment in the championship, he'll get that promotion to Super 1 next season as well. So, add another Riot Sim racer to the already 4 that we have in there. So, definitely looks like Riot Sims are going to be a strong competitors next season as well. So. Good to have those guys on board, and will definitely be interesting to see how they go in Super 1 next season.
And I think that's a great segue as well, also to big shout out and a big thank you to Josh from Precision. I'm so bad at saying precision. I'm not that precise, am I? Precision Sim Training, absolute legend, and he's been one of the massive orchestrator and a big helper through our Super 2 series, helping these guys out getting better, getting up into the succession plan and getting up into those top 2, top 3 in Super 2, so then they can fight their way into Super 1. And this is what it's all about, guys, and that's why it gives me a good segue to big shout out. Please, guys, get involved next season. If you guys just love to watch iRacing, or you are a iRacer and you really love to be in there racing and all the rest of it, you don't really have enough confidence, or you think you need to get faster in these cars, say, to get there, then please hit us up, guys. Jump in the series, jump in Super 2s. You're more than welcome. simracingworld.com.au. Please jump on, guys. Jump on all our social media. Hit that notification bell when you're on your YouTube, when you're on the Facebook. Please give us some support, guys. Jump in. If you want to watch, please watch. If you want to race, please race. And if you're not racing that day, then please watch when you're not racing that day. But yeah, it's a great way of getting into iRacing, and it's a great way to have some great training behind you and sim training behind you that you can try to get better. And with Stefan Lawrence doing the move on Daniel Schultz here. So we've got a different, I'll hand back to you, mate, after that little bit of a plug and get back to the action.
Yeah, it's sorry, just a bit distracted with the in the background there, but yeah, it was a great move there by Stefan Lawrence, sorry. Pushing his way into P2 now, so he's going to be sitting off after Braden as well. So Braden and Stefan have obviously been very close pace-wise at every track we've been with. You know, we've seen pole positions separated by less than 1/10 of a second, so he's going to have to wrangle this Ford Mustang around in order to catch Braden and his locked-on ZB Commodore. So we'll keep it on the gaps that we can see, and hopefully they can bring it together and make it a nice close battle at the end. But even Dan here, if he can stay with Stefan's pace he's got in the tow, he may even be able to drag his way up towards the top end of the podium as well. With it looks like Luke there and P4 not too far, with Bradley just not far behind him and Roy Clark. So definitely still got a few battle packs.
Greg Leake off in the dirt again.
Yeah, Greg's not having a good time with him. Well, tonight it's about the 5th time I think I've seen him rotated around by what I would assume is himself, because we're not having any
and honestly, mate, like last week I spent most of last week trying to...
Oh, there he goes again.
Oh, he's gone off again. Yeah, that was me. That was me all of last week trying to get this right. And I was like, no, it can't be that hard to drive around here. Like, I know this track, and I can drive around here in a GT4, I can drive around here in a Radical, I can drive around here in a Porsche. As soon as I got in the V8, oh, mate, I couldn't get it not to lock up, like consistently not to lock up into Alta, which we're coming down through here now. Cullen Hodgkinson along here. This is the Alta chicane here. I don't know, it's something weird about it. I lock it up and then you hit a bit too much curb and then it sends it sideways, or I don't know, I just couldn't get it right. And then down through here, down into the entry into Ravazza, if you don't get the lump on the road right there, if you don't get in the lump, because there's a kind of lump where your right hand front tire kind of dips into, and then you're fine. If you get onto the left hand side of that, yeah, not such a good result.
Yeah, these cars are never easy no matter what, you know, track you're at, whether it's even, you know, the Holy Grail V8s of Bathurst or Imola, you know, we've been to Spa, Snetterton. They're all very difficult tracks for a supercar. It's very easy. A lot of these guys and the Super 1 guys, you can see the rear brakes always blow super hard, so they're putting a lot more force into the rear, trying to use the front to turn and scrub the tyres a little bit as well, so slow down some speed. As you can see, Stefan Lawrence's rear brakes glowing onto the main straight here, so the quicker guys definitely use a lot more rear brake to allow the front to just sort of be able to turn and use that mid-corner rotation from the brakes as well to change directions. So everyone obviously has their own different driving style. I don't personally use the brakes to turn. I let the car just sort of roll through it and then use the throttle to rotate it, but in the supercar that can only go so far, because if you use too much throttle you instantly will just, you know, lose the rear and around you go. So they're definitely one of the harder cars to drive within on the iRacing, so kudos to anyone that can drive one of these with some pace at any track. Yeah,
100%. I think my driving style is based very much around the downshift rotation thing, and that's why these cars don't really, because they've got enough rotation in their back end already. You don't have to try and force it to go around a corner. It's going to go around. That arse end's going to try and get around it. It's about you trying to control it from not going too far around.
Yeah, exactly. It's these things are always fun to drive when you can, you know, dial in a setup for your own individual driving styles. But even the baseline now, with the way iRacing's giving out their own setups for certain tracks, they're not too bad. So we got Braden here, obviously very comfortable now. It's his first sort of season in any league running the supercar. He's only really run Skip Barber's before this, which is obviously a massive difference in car and power.
Yeah, he's currently got a over 10 second lead here, and he's still pushing out Stefan Lawrence is actually done our fastest lap, so I might just quickly run through our fastest laps here. We've got Stefan Lawrence with their fastest lap so far. Daniel Schultz with their second fastest lap. So our fastest lap is 1:45.45 from Stefan Lawrence, and then we got a 1:45.57 from Daniel Schultz. Beautiful drive from him, absolutely beautiful drive, and absolutely so stellar to see his improvement throughout the season and how much faster he's gotten throughout the season. And yeah, it's been fucking awesome to see. Actually, he had a bit of a mixed start to the season, so that was pretty cool. And then we've got Braden Martin, even though he's in first and he's been dominating through this. These boys are definitely on the hunt. These two boys are definitely doing pretty consistently faster lap times at the moment, by about 2 or 3 tenths than Braden Martin here. So Braden Martin might be just trying to short shift here a little bit and just trying to save up a little bit of gas, because you know, these guys would definitely time their pit stops. They definitely time how much gas they've got, especially fuel and stuff like that they've got. So these guys are gonna have to really I'd be still paranoid if I was in the lead. I'd be like, I'm in a lot of clean air right now. There's a potential for me to use way too much gas than I actually need, essentially, or too much fuel than I need, because you know, it's just easy to go fast when you've got a bit of lead.
Absolutely, it's easy, especially when you're out on your own and, you know, 70-minute race. These guys still have, you know, 20 odd minute, 15 minutes to go. So, you know, that's still, well, they've had a minute 40 laps, so that's, you know, 10-ish laps, let's call it. That's still a long time to just doze off, essentially, and lose that concentration.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
100%.
when you're not chasing someone down. Like, if you're in Dan's position and Stefan's position, you're obviously trying to chase someone down. You've got a goal, you've got something to strive towards, and you're pushing that car towards that. But when you're Braden, you're out on your own. Your goal is obviously to keep the gap to Stefan as much consistently as you can. But if you get too focused on that as well, you can look down at a braking zone and off the track, and voila, there goes your 9.8 seconds sort of lead that he's got. So very easy to make mistakes and get complacent. So hopefully he can hold his nerve and keep his concentration for the rest of the race.
I always find it's the last 4 laps. I like to make silly mistakes in the last 4 laps. It always seems to be, because I think you get in your head, you're like, oh, you start to imagine like, oh, how awesome it's going to be if you hold this position. You're like, yeah, well, he's so proud of myself, blah, blah, blah. And then you start to think about it, you know. I don't know, that's the way I am when I'm in the car. You got enough time to think too much, I think, when you're driving a car.
Oh, absolutely. It's
even though people think you're doing all this stuff all the time, you still got those split-second thoughts of like, oh no, this is kind of nice, you know. Quite relaxing, even though there's lots going on. I don't know. Does that make us crazy, or does that just make us a special breed? I'm not sure.
Probably both.
Yeah, probably both.
It depends who you ask.
Yeah, exactly right. Unique. That's the word. Yeah.
But yeah, it's there you go.
No, you go.
Oh, I totally lost what I was trying to say.
Oh no, Stefan Lawrence with that absolutely amazing drive. I can't believe he's made up that many positions in this caliber of field. Is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just shows that, you know, he has been the class act of the field this season, putting in the most consistent performances.
I think he's been a slightly step above, and we've seen that much of a lead from him throughout the series. So it's going to be very interesting to see when he jumps up to Super 1s in Div 1, essentially, as I'd call it, or Super 1s, as we call it. Oh, Daniel Short's getting a bit sideways there. He might have a bit rough tyres there. He might have just got a bit of dust on the outside of him. But he's done very, very well throughout this whole race in that beautiful livery there. He's done very, very well. Oh, Luke Crum holding on to this too. He's up 5 position. What a bloody beautiful drive from Chopper.
Yeah, he's had a good run here. Does have Matthew Mutts all over the back of him here. So, he may even be trying to save fuel potentially by the look of how low he is actually going in some of the zones. So
Matthew Mites is one to watch as well, I think, for next season as well. I think he might be up to the top of the field in Super 2's next season when other people move up, because he's been very consistent. He's got good times. He's been very consistent. Been caught up in a couple of things, and I think next season he'll definitely learn from that.
Yeah, he's been there or thereabouts. He's had a few rounds where he just has made the odd mistake. I think Nürburgring was one of those, and so there's some that he's, there's some he's got to make a little bit of correction on, but he'll do that as he gets better and into it. So yeah, we'll see how he goes on into Super 2 next season.
Yeah, and that's what I'm loving about this, and that's what we'll see throughout this, guys, as well. Everybody that moves up throughout this season, and these guys that keep on getting better. And when it gets roughed up with these guys that have been ahead of the season for Div 2 go up to Div 1, and then, when some of those guys move down, or etc, we're going to see some pretty cool racing here. We're going to see some, it's going to be great for us in the comms box Super 2s as well, to be able to see these guys come through from Super 1s and Super 2s go up through there as well. And it just really cements how much of a cool team we've got with Sim Racing World TV.
Absolutely, and it's only going to grow with a new format next season as well, which we'll wait for obviously the admins to share with that for you guys, and don't forget to join our Discord, and you can check out what's all the go for season 2, as everything is and all the formats are actually up in the Discord now, ready for season 2. Registrations are open, so go to simracingworld.com.au or jump in the Discord and you can chuck them in through the Discord as well. So we've got about 8 minutes roughly left in this race, so about 5 more laps I'd say for the leader Braden to hold on to this, to take the round victory, and obviously for Stefan to take the championship victory. So we'll keep a close eye with these guys. There's a great battle here with Luke and Braden here for P4. Matthew Mutz there in the Mustang locked on car. So these guys are going to take it all to the wire here, and I think Matthew might even just be trying to line him up and learn where his car's a little bit stronger in the next couple of laps, and try and make that pass probably into turn 1 on the last lap to really secure it.
It definitely looks like Mr. Mites is piling on the pressure right now, or buttering the toast right now to try and lubricate a move.
Exactly. There's a little bit of draft effect coming down into turn 1. It's not enough to actually get you past. It's only enough to...
But it's enough to put you off sometimes as well, because if you come in there and you break a little bit late, it's not... Turn 1 is not a section in Imola you want to be concentrating on following in the car in front of you. Essentially, it can put you off.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go too deep as well, it's about a 2-second slowdown once you get through the gravel, even though you've already lost a couple of seconds. So it's a little very punishing mistake as well if you happen to run wide and have to go through the gravel.
As we come up through Paratella here, guys, this is we unfortunately lost Etten Center, and it seems like a very, very strange quarter, and there's still the courts are out and what actually happened there, but he didn't even slow down. He just went straight ahead there. So yeah, easy mistake to do, but it seems like a very strange place to come off. So hence the mystery, etc.
Yeah, a lot of people say that he had a stuck throttle and or brake pedal went off. So everyone's got their own theories. The team probably knows exactly what happened with the telemetry they have, although it's minimal back then. They still be able to tell and that sort of stuff. And but yeah, it's obviously a massive tragedy on that day, losing 2 people. Obviously, Ayrton Senna's probably overshadowed the. Sorry, I'm not aware of the other guy.
Dale's death, yeah.
Yeah, obviously being a bigger profile driver, obviously we got more spotlight and stuff. So, bit of a shame, obviously, to lose drivers and anything, but that is part of motorsport, unfortunately, in real life.
But I think that like Imola is one of those tracks that definitely gave birth to driving styles that like Ayrton and Michael Schumacher make very, very famous. As they were very, very famous to drop down brake bias between corners at Imola. So it would actually break it down to like, okay, so he go to like -2 coming into coming into this hairpin here, so then you could get heaps more brake on the fronts and then get heaps more power on the exit and then drop back up. You know, drop back up through Paratilis, and then you get heaps more under power, so you get heaps more grip on the rear wheels as he's coming down here, just sort of a light brake, you know, things like that. It's pretty incredible what the guys in the early days didn't really have that much technology, and how much they played around with the little technology they had.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's always part of. Shows you the different classes of race car drivers, as well as if you've got those that'll try and do obviously everything they can with what they've got. That is a race car driver's job essentially. So they definitely did a lot more than what a lot others would expect them to, I suppose. And obviously showed the way for some innovations within F1 as well, with the way they drove and innovated their own cars and setups.
Yeah, 100%. And we've seen all that come back threefold when it came down to the Lotuses and all the rest, with the undercarriage, with the porpoising and the undercarriage downforce, and now it's all come back. It's so full circle, it's quite cool. So
yeah,
this year of F1's very, very cool. Oh, got Peter Pavlovich there with a little bit of a moment on his penultimate lap.
Bit too much curve there as he's just got taken around that first part. Probably a little bit too much rear brise, hit the curb, which has actually just helped the car rotate as well. And then nice save there to obviously not spin it, and no harm, no foul. Essentially would have just lost a little bit of ground there to Mr. Jacob Hughes. So looks like he's gonna have to settle for 9th position here. And Bradley Ward, after a good start being in P3 for the, the most of that first inning, looks like he's going to be finishing up in P7. Roy Clark's had a nice consistent run into P6 after the first lap sort of incident that he got involved in as well.
He dropped down far down the order, and now he's dropped back up to. He did qualify in 4th, so he's very fast around here, but it's about being consistent in racecraft too, isn't it?
Excuse me, exactly, and I think he just got caught up in the lap 1 incident with Stefan there when he sort of half spun, and he just had nowhere to go, so he was just innocent bystander, as most people are when another car in front sort of goes around and you got nowhere to go.
I think we'll just stay on board with these boys for now, because we're coming up to our this is our penultimate lap, guys, so it'll be good to see whether Mr. Matthew Mites can make a move on this last coming up to this last lap here. Oh, he might not be able to. What do you reckon?
He's going to be close. He lost a bit too much traction out of that corner, so he's going to have the draft. That's obviously going to help him pull up here into turn 1 and get a bit closer. But unless Luke Crum in front makes a mistake, I don't think Matthew here is going to be able to get it done. But he's a bit too far back. He did have a lap car just in front of them though, so that might come into factor as well.
Just pass the back marker, Peter Pollard.
Peter's pulled away to the side and actually fire, so kudos to Peter for doing that and recognising he's got a couple of cars battling for P4 in front of him, or behind him, sorry. So yeah, I think Matthew's definitely had a bit more pace, but he just hasn't been able to utilise it as well as he probably wants to. So if Luke can keep it clean,
I'd love to see he'd pull this move off though. I'd love him to see this. I'd love to see him pull this move off.
Yeah, absolutely. A big chance to do it is just crank the rear brake bias to the rear and just send it into reverse 1 and hope it comes off, and if not, at least you got a bit of runoff into the gravel and a bit of space behind you to still get back on and not really lose any position. So he's going to have to set up the chicane, nice exit out of here, and he'll be
down through Alta. These guys have got this nailed through there, man. Oh, beautiful move. He's on the power, but Luke Crum's still got more power on him. He's still got more better exits, eh? Oh, I'm not sure
Luke's
if he can
definitely
get
driving
this
car nice and straight, so I don't think he's not going to be able to get it from that far back, unfortunately. So that's a great driver from Luke there to hold off Matthew for that, essentially that whole last half of the stint. So kudos to him, and well done on the P4 finish there for Luke.
Definitely could have been easy. Definitely going to be easy. That sort of talent behind you. You got Matthew Mites, you got Roy Clark, you got Bradley Ward, you got Jacob Hughes, and Peter Pavlovich behind you. mate, I would not be. I wouldn't be as calm as that man right now, to be honest.
It looks like they might actually have one more lap because these guys are still battling away here. So might have prematurely called that.
Oh, I said penultimate lap, so this should be the ultimate lap. So hopefully I've gotten the timing right here. I think I've got it right, hopefully.
Should be able to, but it still looks like
it's
our
ultimate lap here for our last lap here for our race leader.
Yeah, and he's got that nice 900 lead, so he's going to cruise on home now in front of Stefan Lawrence. So Braden's definitely going to get the race win here, and Stefan will get the championship with Dan getting another podium result. And he's had a pretty good consistent season when he's turned up, but I think he has missed a couple of rounds. And obviously he had a bad round at Zolder, getting involved in a couple of crashes in both of those races. So just shows you how much a bad round can cost you in a championship like this with no drop rounds.
But even if it's, it might not even just be, it might even be a track that you really like, but you just haven't had the time that week to practice for, say. It can be simple things like that just, so it might not be a good showing of how fast you are on that track or how fast you are normally, but, here we go, down the end. So Luke Crum taking it from Matthew Mites, holding it off there. Beautifully done. We got Braden Martin in first. I'll hand it back over to you, Stefan, as I go through the cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got Daniel Schultz in P3 rounding up P3 for the final race. You got Luke Crum, who held on to a great battle there with Matthew Mites in P4, and Matthew Mites holding on to P5 with a good round there. Roy Clark in P6, who's actually just held on from P6 from Bradley. So Bradley's had a good couple last laps here to try and catch up to him. You got Jacob Hughes coming home in P8 for Riot Sim Racing.
He's up 3 positions.
Oh, he's actually out of fuel. Is Peter going to get him on the line?
Oh, is he going to get him? Oh, yes. Peter Pavlovich gets him on the line into 9th.
So Peter actually got him there on the line. You got Marcus Redcliffe for Kachow Lightning McQueen Racing, because I'm just going to say that.
Kachow!
And P10.
I love it.
And when he showed up, he's had pretty good races as well.
He has actually had some really awesome performances. I would not be surprised to see him further towards the front of the pack next season, if not get a couple of drivers of the day. I think he's been overshadowed by, he's had some amazing drives that we would have given him driver of the day a couple of times, I think, but we just had a couple of guys that were just a bit quicker and had just shined a bit more brighter like a diamond, Oh, here we go. Bit of burnouts here. Oh, decent burnouts.
Callan in P11 there, and Dean in P10. P12, sorry. Stephen behind him in P13, who's going to just pull into the pits apparently. Oh, he would have been lapped by Braden.
Oh, we get results. That's the first time they'll give us something. Here we go. There you go. I'll leave it to you, bro. There you go.
So Braden Martin takes a race win there in P1. Stefan Lawrence P2 is also our champion for Season 1 of Sim Racing World Super 2 V8 Supercars. So congratulations to him from Riot Sim Racing. Daniel Schultz in P3, Luke Crum in P4 for Crum Racing, Matthew Mites in P5 for Locked On Racing, Roy Clark P6, PRA Progression Racing Australia, Bradley Wolf for Crisscross Esports, Jacob Hughes Riot Sim Racing, Peter Pavlovich Century Motorsport, and rounding out the team is Marcus Redcliffe. I'm just going to say that's Kachow Racing, because that suits the car.
Hard out. We should petition that. Hey, it should be called Kachow Racing now from now on. And if he doesn't make it, we should make our own race team called Kachow Racing.
Helen Hodgson for Crisscross Racing, just Crisscross Esports in P11. Dean Sikovic for SRW in P12. Stephen in P13. They enjoyed pegging each other through this whole race apparently, so bit of family love there.
Yeah, a bit of pegging.
Peter Pollard for ABR Aussie Boy Racing in P14. Greg Leak for Team Greg Racing in P15, and Shannon Blackburn, who unfortunately I don't believe made 10 laps of the race and then had to call it for ABR Aussie Boy Racing in P16, and Darlene was our safety car drivers. So congratulations to those 16 boys for finishing and that concludes us for season 1 of Sim Racing World V8 Supercar 2. Join us next season. We do have a different format installed for you guys, so come in, join us.
The American Invasion.
Yeah, exactly. We're in America next season, so the track list will be announced very shortly for all of those. Obviously, join our Discord. Go to simracingworld.com.au to find all the registration, and there's clear instructions there of how to register, pay entry fees, and get your name in for season 2, which starts in I want to say 2 more weeks.
24th, 25th, 26th. First dates.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, Wednesday,
Anzac
Thursday.
weekend.
Yeah.
Is when we kick off again, guys. And there probably will be a memorial livery competition potentially running there as well as he was last time. So come join us on for that.
That's gonna be cool.
Thank you to obviously our partners DSL Welding Services in the promo department and Dragonrc for your continued sponsorship into season 2. So that is us signing off for myself and Toddy. It's been a great pleasure being on board with you guys for the whole season of broadcasting through the multiple rounds. And we will see you both back here for season 2, where we've got more races, more formats, and pretty much live every night of the week.
It's so awesome. It's going to be so super excited. I'm kind of bit standoffish that we have 2 weeks off. It's nice to have 2 weeks off, but I don't have racing for 2 weeks to watch. So I make sure you keep that excitement, guys, and we'll come back even bigger and better next time. So much love to all, and we shall see you all soon for season 2.